Let us begin with a question that seems deceptively simple, but carries the weight of lives half-lived. What does it mean to avoid, to sidestep, to shield oneself, to build a fortress so impenetrable that even the sunlight struggles to filter through? My dear friends, today we shall unravel the intricacies of Avoidant Personality Disorder, or APD, as it is clinically known. But I shall not burden you with mere facts. I will tell you a story, a tale woven with wisdom, wit, and perhaps a touch of theatrical flair. Personality, what a charmingly complex thing. It is the signature of our existence, the thread that binds our actions, thoughts, and feelings into the unique tapestry of selfhood. But what happens when that thread tangles, frays, and knots itself into patterns that constrain rather than liberate? This is the territory of personality disorders, where Avoidant Personality Disorder quietly resides, a shadow on the canvas. APD, as we know it, is not merely shyness. Oh no, to call it that would be to confuse a drizzle for a deluge. It is a pattern, pervasive and unyielding, of social withdrawal, profound inadequacy, and hypersensitivity to criticism. It is not the occasional blush of embarrassment, but a chronic fear that turns every interaction into a battlefield. Allow me to paint you a portrait. Picture a man named Edward. Edward was not unkind, nor unintelligent, but he moved through life like a phantom. Office meetings were his personal purgatory. The thought of speaking in one made his palms sweat and his throat tighten. Invitations to dinners or gatherings, politely declined. I wouldn't know what to say, he would mutter to himself, the familiar refrain of inadequacy. You see, Edward did not withdraw because he lacked desire. He longed to connect, to laugh freely, to share his thoughts. But his mind whispered cruelly, "They'll judge you. They'll find you lacking. Better to stay silent, to stay safe." And so, Edward stayed locked within his fortress, the echoes of his fears bouncing off the walls. Ah, the fear of criticism, a specter that haunts those with APD. It is not the occasional discomfort we all feel when receiving feedback. It is a visceral dread, a certainty that every word spoken about them carries an undercurrent of disdain. Imagine walking into a room and feeling, not seeing, but feeling the eyes of judgment upon you. Each whisper is an accusation. Every laugh is mockery. It is this fear that leads those with APD to avoid situations where their perceived inadequacies might be exposed. Better to disappear than to risk being seen. Now let us turn to the heart of the matter. Feelings of inadequacy. For those with APD, these feelings are not fleeting. They are a constant drumbeat in the background of their lives. They see themselves not as equal participants in the grand dance of life, but as unworthy imposters. Consider Sarah, an artist of extraordinary talent. Her paintings were breathtaking, but she refused to exhibit them. "They're not good enough," she would insist. When her friends begged to see her work, she would shrug, deflecting with humor or changing the subject. Her fear of criticism and self-doubt robbed the world of her brilliance. And so, we come to the inevitable consequence: social withdrawal. Those with APD often retreat from the world, not because they wish to, but because they feel they must. Social situations, intimate relationships, even casual encounters, all are laden with potential rejection. To them, the safest option is often the loneliest. It is a cruel irony, isn't it? The very act of avoiding others to protect oneself leads to the isolation that deepens the wounds. They build walls to keep out the arrows of judgment, but end up keeping out the warmth of connection as well. Now, some of you might wonder, is this not merely shyness? Allow me to clarify. Shyness is a shadow that lingers at the edges of the room, present but not overwhelming. APD, however, is the room itself, a construct that defines and confines every interaction. It is not a phase or a passing mood. It is a pervasive pattern that seeps into every corner of life. But my dear friends, do not despair. Even the thickest fog can be lifted, and even the tallest walls can be scaled. The journey out of avoidance begins with acknowledgement. It is a step that requires courage, for to acknowledge is to confront the fear itself. A skilled therapist acts as a guide through the labyrinth of avoidance. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, for instance, has been a beacon for many, helping them to reframe their thoughts and face their fears. Therapy is not a quick fix. It is a journey, a gradual dismantling of the fortress. Oh, how often we are cruel to ourselves. Those with APD are their own harshest critics. Learning to speak to oneself with kindness, to forgive missteps, and to celebrate small victories is a vital part of healing. Rome, as they say, was not built in a day, nor is confidence. The path to social connection begins with small, manageable steps: a smile at a stranger, a brief conversation with a colleague, an acceptance of an invitation. Each step builds upon the last, forming a foundation of courage. Progress is rarely linear. There will be setbacks, moments when the fortress seems unyielding, but every attempt, every small act of bravery weakens its walls. And what awaits on the other side of avoidance? Connection. To be seen, heard, and understood is a gift beyond measure. It is the balm for wounds long hidden, the sunlight that nurtures growth. As I close this tale, let me leave you with a thought. Avoidance may seem like a refuge, but it is a thief. It steals not only the joys of connection, but also the chance to share your unique self with the world. So if you or someone you know struggles with APD, I urge you, take the first step, no matter how small. Seek help, practice self-kindness, and trust that healing is possible. For even the most solitary bird can one day find the courage to take flight. Thank you, my dear audience, for walking this path with me today. Until we meet again, tread softly, live boldly, and never stop seeking the connections that make life truly extraordinary.